Where are the sources of capital in today's market?
Well, to a lesser extent than in the past, the banks dominate the ship finance scene. Banks, then I mean particularly European banks, who have over the past decade or decades dominated the ship finance scene. That is over. There's still a number of banks active and willing to be active in this space. But even if they all go to their max, you will see that there's a big funding gap for the shipping industry now and also in the future. I think that will be filled by a number of different sources of capital, including public debt and public equity, but also private equity and private debt, but not coming from the banking sector. So basically you will see a trend for disintermediation, as I would call it, of the financial sector, i.e. Banks as an intermediary will play a smaller role, but banks as an advisor to the clients to find those sources of capital will play a much bigger role. And I think the banks that have a combination of very strong shipping expertise and strongly developed, let's say, financial product department, including ECM and DCM, will be able to benefit from that going forward.
Are there any sectors that are particularly interesting for you?
Well, if you look at today's reality in the shipping market, there's two things I could say there. The LNG market and maybe the offshore market as well are doing well. So those sectors we feel comfortable lending money to. But having said that, some of the more commodity type of shipping sectors are, in our view, very close to the bottom of the cycle and probably close to the beginning of a recovery. And keeping in mind that it is always good to lend money anti-cyclically, it starts to become interesting to take exposure and lend money to those sectors as well.
Do you think you're going to see more capital coming out of Asian banks?
Asian banks are particularly interested to lend money to those projects where there is a clear link to the region and to their country, whether it's Chinese or Japanese or Korean banks. So yes, they will provide capacity to the shipping industry, but only to those projects, as I said, where you can find a clear link to that part of the world. Having said that, also the involvement of the ECAs, the export credit agencies of those countries, really increase liquidity for the shipping industry on a global basis quite substantially.
And what is your focus going forward?
Our focus is to grow our exposure to the global shipping industry and to have an as broad as possible coverage of the various sources of capital as I just described, to be able to offer those to our clients.